All right, good morning, JEA family and guests. Happy Thursday. I'm Jenny McCullum, the Chief Procurement Officer for JEA, and I'd like to call the April 16th, 2020 awards meeting to order. We have a quorum. We've got Sean Eads, we've got Daryl Calhoun, Karen Anders, John McCarthy, and I haven't seen Joe Arfano come on yet, so we do have a quorum with the four of you. Joe's on? Okay, Joe Arfano. There you are, Joe. All right, you're on as well. I see Lori Whitmer is represented by Budget. She is on as well. And then we've got Lasikia Hodges on for OGC. I'm going to read through quite a lengthy statement, so bear with me. In an effort to slow the spread of the COVID-19 virus and to encourage social distancing, Governor DeSantis issued Executive Order 20-69, allowing local governments to hold public meetings using communication media technology rather than in a physical location. In keeping with the executive order, the JEA Awards Committee meeting is being held via WebEx conference, which allows interested persons to view and participate in the meeting remotely. If you are having technical difficulties accessing the meeting or during the meeting, you should contact Jason Bear at 665-8750 for assistance. In the event multiple people have technical difficulties that preclude them from attending or accessing the meeting will be recessed or postponed until the technical issues can be remedied. When the meeting is concluded, we will have a recorded version that can be accessed on JEA.com under Procurement, and then we've got a section for awards, meetings, agenda, and minutes. So this meeting is being recorded and the minutes are being taken. Therefore, any individuals who speak during the meeting should do so clearly and slowly to ensure they are heard and understood for recording purposes and by other participants and attendees. Participants shall, regardless of how they are accessing the meeting, keep their microphones on mute at all times when not speaking. The meeting host will have the capability to mute any microphone that is transmitting sound that causes feedback or that is otherwise disruptive to the meeting. Each person must wait to be recognized by the chair, which is myself, before speaking. If people attempt to speak out of turn or talk over each other, they may be removed from the meeting. Each time an individual speaks during the meeting, they must first provide their name to ensure those dialing in can identify the speakers. Members of the public must state their name at the time they make an initial comment. Members of the public speaking more than once may provide their name only prior to making additional comments. All right, so for all the awards committee meetings, the public comment portion occurs at the beginning of the meeting, and all public comments should pertain only to the items on the agenda and are limited to 3 minutes in duration. The agenda and associated materials can be accessed through the JEA website, as I said, at JEA.com under Procurement, Awards, Meetings, Agendas, and Minutes. Members of the public may submit their comments by email in advance of the meeting or may log in or dial into the meeting to speak during the public comment portion of the meeting. Individuals who are unable to access the meeting or who wish to submit their comments in advance may do so by submitting their comments via email to Jason Bear, which is BEHRJV@JEA.com. Public comments submitted by email must be received no later then 10:10 a.m. on the date of today's meeting, which is April 16th, 2020. Public comments submitted by email will be read into the record during the public comment portion of the meeting. Individuals attending the call will be given an opportunity to comment one at a time and in an orderly fashion upon recognition by the host or the chair of the meeting. All public comments will be given equal consideration, regardless of the manner in which they are submitted. I'm going to pass it over to Sean to give a little bit more instruction before we get started.
Thank you, Jenny. This is Sean Eads. A quick overview of the controls. The vast majority of the call attendees right now are in through the WebEx client, either on their phone or on their web browser. So if you're on your web browser and you scroll down on the screen, you will see a series of 8 buttons. The far left button is the mute button, which is currently red. If you're recognized to speak or need to speak, you'll have to unmute yourself for that. If you need to see the participant list, the 5th button over looks like a person. You click on that, you can see the participant list of the meeting. And the one next to that, so the 3rd from the right, looks like a little chat bubble. If for some reason you're having technical difficulties, you can chat in that window. Please understand that this meeting is recorded and all the chats will be visible and available. From the public comment section, which we're about to get to, the way that will be dealt with is for those people that are in the WebEx tools, you can raise your hand by going to you in the participation list or the participant list, and you will see as you scroll over your name, a little hand. You can click on that and it will raise the hand and we can then recognize you. When you're finished speaking, you can click that again and it will take the hand down, much like if you were in a classroom setting. We also have a chat as a backup, but prefer you raise your hand. We do happen to have 4 people that are currently dialed into the meeting directly. Once we read the email, public comments, we look for people that have raised their hand. I will then unmute all of those phone individuals and ask them if they have, as general, if they have a comment, and if they do, they'll be able to speak at that time before I place their phones back on mute. That's how we will operate that portion of the meeting. Back to you, Jenny.
Thanks, Sean. So we've got about 2 more minutes to wait for any emails to come in, but I'll ask Jason Bear if we have received any public comment to date.
Hello, this is Jason Bear. There is no public comment at this time.
Thanks, Jason. We will give a couple more minutes for any emails to come in. But Sean, while we're waiting, would you like to open it up to any public comment for the callers that are on the phone?
Sure. Again, if you are participating in the meeting via WebEx, if you could please raise your hand if you'd like to provide a public comment at this time. There are no public comments from those. I will now unmute. 1 second. I have unmuted those folks that have dialed in via their phone. Would any of you like to provide public comment? Please speak. No public comment, Jenny. From that, I will mute those lines again. And we can wait 1 more minute for Jason to see if any more emails have come through.
Perfect. Thank you, Sean.
Jason, it says 10:10. Have you received any additional email comments?
is Jason Bear. No email comments.
Thanks, Jason. All right, this is Jenny McCullum again. And I'd like to introduce today's regular agenda. We have items 1 through 4, 6 through 9, and 11. We have deferred items 5 and 10. They've all been reviewed by the procurement team and budget and are ready for awards committee review. We're going to go through all of these individually, but first I'd like to ask if anyone has any questions on the meeting minutes from the April 9th, 2020 meeting from last week. And Lynn, if you'll scroll.
This Office of General Counsel, I tried to raise my hand, but I do. On the second page of the minutes, time to get to the second page of the minutes. So my the notes that you're notating in the body of the meeting, because all of this information came. Board of the committee took up any of those other action items, organizational issue, and we should notate in the minutes who did the announcement. All of these bullets should be prefaced with Jenny McCullum announced the meeting. Then lastly, whenever we're, for purposes of minutes, any motions that are made, we should be stating seconded and outcome of the motion. So work with the preparer of these minutes, committee finds these suggested changes to make these changes and finalize it in that.
Lasiki, I'll jump in real quick. Yes, we would like to accept your offer in helping write these minutes in. If any of the committee members would not like to do that, please speak up. If not, we will take that as everyone is interested in receiving that guidance. As a note, I'll just make a note that we did spell out the motions. So we've got a motion made by Karen Anders and a second by Sean Eads to approve the minutes from the March 31st, 2020 with the update. So if we just have to reword that in another way, let us know. And then the second motion was made at the end by Karen Anders and a second by Daryl Calhoun to approve items as presented for number 2, 3, and 7, defer item number 4, and approve items 5 and 6 as discussed. So let us know, Lasiki, if we need to add additional verbiage to that.
Yes. Is the outcome of the motion. So the board, there was a motion, there was 5-0 approved, you know what I mean? That should come. That's the only addition.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know if it was Jason, and we'll get those changes in.
Perfect. So how should we vote on the minutes now after your comments? Can they be included just at the end with the rest of them?
Here, you can do that if you want to take them, approve all of the agenda with all of our amendments as we go along in this discussion. That's the preferred way, and that we don't have to go through getting an amendment to the motion.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? I had planned to do this all together at the end to take the motion and the vote. Would you like us to pull these minutes out?
Through the chair, Lasikia Hodges, Office of General Counsel. I mean, you can or not. I mean, it's typically items are taken up separately, but if the committee prefers, just because it's been just to take it all up in one fell swoop motion at the end, that's totally fine, as long as we incorporate any amendments that are made along the way or suggested amendments in the discussion.
Okay, great. All right, Lynn, let's go to award. Oh, yes, Karen?
I'm sorry. I'm not understanding how normally we start by approving the minutes, right? And if they're going to be amended, I'm not clear how we approve them.
So last week we made quite a few changes and additions to the minutes. So we approved those in the beginning separately as a separate motion. This week, because we had the additions in the minutes, we don't have to pull those out and do them separately. We certainly can if the committee prefers to do that. We can also, like Lasikia said, do it as a full package at the end and offer up individual items to be voted on individually outside of the packet if we want to do that as well.
Right, and through the chair to Karen Anders, typically your practice is to, like in one motion that's at the beginning. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can do that. The only Robert's rules suggestion that if you're going along in your discussion and there are amendments to any one of those items, because you have an original motion that's on the table that approves items 1 through 11, if there are any amendments that you make along the way in that discussion, in order to amend that original motion that's on the table, someone would need to move an amendment. And if you think about any of your JEA board meetings, that's exactly, what council does. Board, it's just Robert Rules of Order. That's all. I hope that helps, Karen.
I've done this for so long, I should know our rules, but I'm not understanding.
Can I take a shot at it?
Sure.
Okay, so I think what she's saying is.
Can you say your name, please?
I'm sorry, Daryl Calhoun.
Thanks, sir.
So I think, yes, ma'am. I think what's being said is normally the items all flow through without any amendments. If there is an item that needs to be amended for some reason, we should deal with the amendment to the item right then and there. So taking these notes from last meeting as an example, if we want to amend them to say the outcome of those motions, dealing with the minutes from March 31 and then the agenda items, then we should go ahead and say, let's amend these minutes to include the outcomes of those motions and then take a vote on these amended minutes. Deal with this item, which is the minutes on our agenda today, as a one-off because we're amending it. Is that right?
The chair, that was a great attempt. it's possible. So let me just not take too much of more of the committee's time. So here are your options. Here's what you can do right now. Somebody to make a motion right now with the suggestions of Office of General Counsel. Somebody would second that. You would open it up for discussion. You would vote on it, and then you dispense with the minutes. Okay, that's one option. The second option would be you do nothing. Jenny goes through each of these items, including the minutes and all of your awards that are listed. We go through all those items. We have discussions, kind of like we did last week, where with some of those items, committee members have suggestions. We found a lot of errors, for example, last week, typos, as we were having our discussion. And we went through that entire agenda just discussing it. There was no motion on the table. And then at the very end, once we went through all of those agenda items and we discussed, one of the committee, in fact, it was you, Karen, you made a motion at the last meeting to only address the awards items and you included any amendments that were discussed, prior to you making that motion. It's a perfect motion on the table that had incorporated all of the amendments that the committee had made along the way. And when I say the amendments that the committee had made along the way, it was those soft suggestions that the committee was making, the informal discussion that you were having leading up to the final motion. And you can do it individually. Either way works.
So this is Karen, and my point is, and maybe it's fine because it's recorded, but if we're going to amend the minutes to include the things that you're recommending, which I totally agree with, I can't approve something that I can't see. So I'd be approving it on the faith that they are amended properly, that these minutes are amended properly. And maybe that's okay if we have a review, but I don't normally approve things that I can't see how they're being amended. Then, like in the discussion last week, I knew how they were being amended because we just discussed them.
Right. So in response to that, I think you have two solutions. If you want to literally see the amendments that will be proposed, written, we can defer approval of these minutes, okay, because 286 by drafting them. We can defer these minutes back in final form with my suggested amendments. Really substantive. I don't think the committee needs to see those suggestions. Certainly can. We can bring them back at your next committee meeting. But just to recap, the only amendment that I'm suggesting, so specific, is to at the last bullet, the third to the last bullet, the two. What's missing is we haven't incorporated the final outcome of enough in your minutes to say who and who seconded. You also need to let the public come was 5-0. That would be sufficient. And then the only thing I had was simply with all of those bullets. This would be the first, the second, fourth, that we stayed in there that Jenny's the one as PO, the chair of the committee, that's actually stating those things. Announcement, she's the one that reviewed the instructions. It's just for accuracy of members of the public. Certainly because they're being done now by WebEx, a lot of members are relying on the minutes. Maybe they don't have technology, and so that's why it's important that we put this detail in your, what the outcome of the vote was.
Madam
Darryl,
Chair.
go ahead.
Yeah, Darryl Callahan.
Yep.
So to move things along, I would propose that we defer approval of these minutes until next meeting. And then from a procedural standpoint, because we are doing this remotely, I would suggest rather than voting on the entire agenda at the end of the meeting, to do them as each item is dealt with. That way, if there are substantive changes to the item, okay, we'll seek you. If there are substantive changes to the item, we can go ahead and get it while it's fresh, take the vote, move on, and then that also allows those who aren't interested in the rest of the agenda to drop off the call. Those are my suggestions.
Through the chair, thank you so much, Darryl. Of the committee, just to let the committee know in all candidness, I have had with Jenny McCollum, and she knows of the council to take these items up into for just the reasons that Darryl stated. If you notice at your board meetings, the board doesn't do adopting its items, the council doesn't do it that way. It's really not that way, so that would definitely be my preference. I think it's clear, and I the member chiming in there.
Okay, so is that a motion, Darryl? And can we get a second?
Yeah, Darryl Callahan, the motion is to defer these minutes for approval until later after they've been amended.
Second.
Joe Arpano,
Karen Anders.
second.
Okay. I got Joe Arfano as a second. Okay, great. And I'll go ahead and do a vote through each of the committee members. Sean Eads, do you agree with this motion?
Sean
You approve it?
I approve.
Great. Karen Anders?
I approve.
Thanks. Joe Arfano?
Approve.
Thank you. Daryl Calhoun?
Daryl Calhoun, approve.
And John McCarthy? John, are you on mute?
Not now. I approve.
Thank you. Okay, so we will pull the meeting minutes out of this. We'll defer those, and we will bring them back once they are amended. Also, as suggested, I will walk through, just as we normally do, the different award items, and after each one and after discussion, we will go through the committee members and we'll approve each item individually before we go to the next one. So I'm going to start with award item number 2. This is a change order for engineering services for the 5th Street, West Imison Road and Milson Avenue new force main project. This project is to provide additional capacity to dual 12-inch force main along the project corridor and to assess and design the removal and replacement or retirement of the dual 12-inch lines. The existing force mains are at capacity, which has resulted in a high head pressures. It is proposed to install a parallel 16-inch force main from the Imison Road to the Milson Avenue to relieve current flows and accommodate future flows from the west side of the service area. Mont McDonald was originally awarded this. The award amount for the change order is $102,423. If you'll notice, this change order has a very large JEA component. So about 50% of this, a little more than 50% of this is going towards our JEA companies for this amendment. Change order. And the reason for this, it was concluded during field visits during design that the condition of the existing junction chamber was unknown, but due to the age and the inaccessibility for internal assessment, to replace it with a new composite manhole structure and to expand bypass pumping and piping to temporarily divert the flows from the west, north, and the south around the junction chamber during its replacement. We've got 8 additional tasks that are going to be included in that award amount of a little over $102,000 that are listed in the packet that has been posted to the website. And as you can, I'm not going to read through all of those. They're quite lengthy, but it's all in conjunction with what I've already said the scope of work is. And we are going to have to extend our schedule about 18 months to accommodate the additional design. All right, I'd like to ask for a vote on award item 2, or open it up for any discussion.
Perfect. Jenny, this is John McCarthy. The only comment I have is if you go down to where the estimates are at the bottom of the document.
Yep.
It seems like with the change order to the engineering that the construction budget would increase And when I look at the estimate at the 10% route study versus the estimate of completion, the construction budget actually doesn't move that much. So I just like to get some input that just to get that addressed, and if it needs to be adjusted, to make that adjusted. If for some reason we're making all these changes and it's not going to change the construction budget, that's fine too.
Okay.
This is Daryl Callahan. I see Beth DeMayo is on the call. So if she wants to address that, I'm assuming that the bypassing and the additional box didn't change the estimate much, but Beth, are you available?
Right now, we don't know the full financial impact of doing these additional, the design changes that need to be done. So we haven't got a full grasp financially. We do know the overall construction numbers will increase, but until we can get proper depths that are determined when we do the design work, we'll be able to update and reconcile what the construction estimate is. So right now, it's showing that as of the 60% design, that's our construction budget number, but we do know it's going to go up. We just don't know the full impact.
Jenny, this is Sean Eames.
That's good.
Just to help with this too, Jenny, if you could open up your participants pane. People are raising their hand to speak. Beth had done that. And since you had mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, you would recognize them. If you see that little icon next to their name, Beth is currently up still. She can click to now lower her hand since she spoke. You'll be able to recognize folks.
I actually don't see that on my end, Sean, so I don't know if that's a host feature. So you might have to help me jump in.
Will do.
I've got it open, but I'm not seeing any hands. Are there any other hands being raised?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. And is there any other comment on award number 2? All right. I'd like to ask the committee members. Yes. Yep.
Through the chair. I'm sorry, I had my hand raised, but maybe seen. I just had a question on this award. You scroll down to what's being requested to be approved. Is it the attached quote that is more specific with, I think, that are listed? Is it intended that those tasks should be incorporated into this change order? I just didn't see that in the recommended approval portion of this write-up. I just wanted to make sure that more detailed scope of work is missed.
So, Lucikia, any of the backup material in our packets are to support this. So they're always intended to be a part of the contract, which is why we put them in there and show how we're coming to the award amount. So if you need us to do something different, let me know that offline, but they're always included, which is why they're in the packet.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. So maybe just moving forward, when whoever prepares the awards write-ups and that recommendation, we can just incorporate or include the back materials as being a part of that award. I would like it to be a little bit more. We can do that moving forward. Thanks, Jenny.
You're welcome. Yeah, the award document itself is supposed to be an overview and a summary, and the backup attachments are what support the award amount and what we put in the contract for instance, this change order. Are there any other comments?
Not this time,
Okay,
Jenny.
can I get, Okay, thanks, Sean. Can I get a vote from the committee members on award number 2 to be approved as discussed? Do I need to get a move in a second here, Listikia, for each one of these?
You would need a motion from a committee member and a second. Is that your question? I missed it.
Yes. So can I get a motion from a committee member to approve award number 2?
Daryl Calhoun, motion to approve as discussed.
Karen Anders, second.
Great. I'm going to ask for the individual approvals through the committee. So Sean Eads.
I approve.
Thank you. Karen Anders.
I approve.
Daryl Calhoun.
Approved.
Joe Arfano.
Approved.
And John McCarthy.
Approved.
Thank you. Great. Let's go to award item number 3. This was a IFB, so low bid for Owens Road 16-inch water transmission main. The work consists of the installation of approximately 3,900 linear feet of 16-inch PVC water main via open cut and about 1,900 linear feet of 18-inch HDPE water main via horizontal drill along Owens Road between Ranch Road and Max Leggett Parkway in Duval County. This project will increase redundancy in the north grid in the Jacksonville International Airport service territory. TG Utility Company is the recommended awardee, and the award amount is $1,248,207. The project completion is expected around February of 2021. And we had great competition on this bid. We received 8 bids. And I'll just note that the award amount is approximately 20% lower than the current budget estimate. And we note primarily when we looked at the bid form in the workbook, it was primarily due to lower unit costs for the piping material and installation for the horizontal directional drill. And in the reductions of material unit costs for piping, for pipe fittings, valves, and other apparatus, we've deemed this reasonable. I'll open it up for comments from the committee.
At this time, nobody's raised their hand.
All right, seeing no comments, I'll ask for a motion to approve award item number 3.
Daryl Calhoun, so moved.
Sean Eads, second.
Great, I will ask for the entire committee to vote individually. Sean Eads, do you approve?
I approve.
Thank you. Karen Anders?
I approve.
Daryl Calhoun?
Approved.
Joe Arfano?
Approved.
And John McCarthy?
Approved.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go to award item number 4. This is a GSA contract, so a piggyback for our owners for technology, security, and facility systems for our new JEA headquarters building. JEA is requesting to retain H. Stevens Jones to provide design, coordination, project management, owners representation, and construction administration services for the technology, security, and facility systems associated with the new JEA headquarters. The award amount is $619,396, and we're expected to have this work completed around September of 2022. JEA is in the process of designing and construction of the new corporate downtown headquarters building. This project includes the design, coordination, installation of numerous advanced security facilities and technology service systems. In addition, the project requires the integration of existing JEA systems to ensure the operational functionality and long-term supportability of the respective JEA departments. Based on the type of systems and standards employed by JEA and the desire to enhance their level of integration in the new facility, JEA requires the services of an owner's representation that specializes in low voltage system development, integration, and installation. So the use of this specialized owner's rep will ensure all JEA standards are met, system interoperability is achieved, and all potential cost savings are realized in the project. And I'll just make a quick note that this company in particular has been a JEA contractor for facilities and security services for many years with unique knowledge of JEA security and infrastructure and protocols, making them well positioned to ensure JEA receives their desired outcome in this project. I'm going to open this up to the committee for any comments.
Jenny, we have Lasikia Hodges like to comment.
Go ahead, Lasikia.
Hey, through the chair. I had some concerns with this award. As you look at the scope, and I don't know if Lynn or somebody can scroll down, but there's clearly engineering services that's included. I'm not quite sure here if this is meant to be more of a construction contract, but clearly there's engineering services involved. And so we've had a long-standing opinion here at the Office of General Counsel that you can't piggyback on a CCNA contract. So what am I missing here? There's probably some information I don't have, but it's looking like something that is covered under the CCNA rules.
So this is more of a consulting, not the design and engineering of a public infrastructure. I'll let if we've got a hand raised, Sean from one of the business to discuss, or if Rodney or Lisa is on the line.
Jenny could keep going down. There's a clear section in the scope, and I think it's the quote that was provided by the vendor that clearly includes engineering. So if you could keep going down through the backup paperwork, that's really the section I'm kind of zooming in on.
So engineering of IT type security work, you know, to do installations of equipment, you think is covered under CCNA?
Yeah, I know engineering is, right? I just don't, I mean, and again, I haven't, you know, we get the awards packages a day before the committee meeting, so didn't have time to talk with any of your folks about this, but it looked like a design and some build that was happening. So is there a business person on the phone that can speak to this project, or that's in the meeting?
Jenny, we have Dan Crook that raised his hand.
And Rodney Lovegreen, I don't know how to raise my hand on this thing here, but I just unmuted myself. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, and I'll ask Brandon Edwards to probably speak here in a second and back me up on this, but the service is being performed by this company and consultants you know, they use the term engineering. But if you think about any product, if we install a pump, that pump has been engineered. If they've looked at calculations on how that pump will meet a flow requirement, it's been engineered, and then it's integrated into our system. The services this company will be provided are along those lines, except for that it's with respect to security and the communication systems and the IT infrastructure that supports all of the IT hardware in our system. Does that make sense?
Jenny, Brandon did raise his hand as well.
Okay. Brandon, do you want to comment?
Brandon Edwards, JEA Security. Rodney's right on point. I realize the word engineering is in there, but they do not produce signed or sealed engineering drawings for construction. That is not the role of this vendor. They're an owner's rep, so like Rodney said, they may have to engineer a solution, meaning develop some sort of interoperability concept between the different systems, but they're not producing engineering drawings like a CCNB vendor would be able to. They don't have a certified engineer that's going to be producing engineered construction drawings. That's not what the role of this vendor is.
And I'll just ask real quick before you jump in, Lasikia, how was was this bid as a CCNA through the GSA process? What did the backup documentation? I think that should clear it up. If that was bid CCNA, then this is something that we need to probably defer and talk offline. If it was not, then I think that we should be fine to follow their lead.
Right. My understanding is this is not, quote unquote, a bid process with GSA in that it fits in the category that you're describing. These are specific consulting and project support services outside of an engineering perspective.
Jenny, you have Daryl Calhoun that's also raised his hand.
Okay, Daryl, go ahead.
I think what I heard from Brandon, just to confirm, is that the Ryan companies will be doing the actual sign sealing, delivering projects. These guys will be supporting you as an owner's rep, making sure you get what you want that integrates into the JEA systems.
Brandon Edwards, JEA Security. Daryl, you're 100% correct. Ryan and them still have the responsibility for producing the engineering drawings and sealing it. This vendor basically acts on our behalf for the three different paradigms that we talked about, technology, security, and facilities, and ensures that our standards are met in the design of a new building. There's no duplication of effort between the two systems because they are so closely tied. And we realize any opportunity financially to save money in our design because we use a lot of the same cabling and technology between the different systems, as well as any additional smart building type concepts that we'd want to achieve in a new headquarters. They would make sure that that design is incorporated in Ryan's drawings.
Yeah, one final point, Brandon, is from laws and rules, and I am a PE, so I have to sit through that laws and rules. The governing statute for engineers, I believe, says you can't use the term engineer or engineering unless you are a licensed engineer in the state of Florida. And so if you look at page 41 of the agenda today, it speaks of senior engineer and assistant engineer, and it says they have a bachelor's degree. It may be in engineering, I don't know, but they may want to look at the statute and make sure they're not holding themselves out as engineers, because that has a statutory definition. I think that's what Lasikia was homing in on. Thank you.
Bingo, right, through the chair, bingo. When again, Daryl, I appreciate your comments today. Again, I have some concerns. I mean, Jenny just pointed out, if you go to the GSA backup that's attached, they're using the term senior engineer. I mean, folks, if you want to move forward, you certainly can. I'm hesitant. I have not read every single page, admittedly, of this GSA backup that's attached. That's pretty lengthy. But if you read through that scope, I mean, if the underlying piggyback contract is pertaining to engineering services, which is what it appears to be to me as I'm skimming through it, then I don't know how we transfer the type of services with the piggyback that we're trying to affect today. So I don't want to tie the committee's time. I just don't have enough information to determine if we're moving in the right direction with this particular item. Is it time sensitive? It's related, of course, to the headquarters. I know we got a new board that's coming on that might have some thoughts on that. But is this item time sensitive where it has to get approved today?
Brandon Edwards, Director of Security. We are already in schematic designs for the new headquarters building, and if Nancy's on, she could speak a little more detailed. There may be some time availability coming out of the pandemic that we may not have to rush as often, but we definitely need to get this in place as soon as possible to get our needs incorporated in the design of the new building.
Understood. I mean, I'll just again reiterate the term engineer, to Daryl's point, it's been tossed around in the backup, the GSA backup that's being presented to be able to do the piggyback as well as in the award and the quote. And so when I see the word engineer, I'm thinking engineer. So I just don't have enough information, and I haven't reviewed every sentence to determine if it's the type of engineering work that you're talking about, or if that original procurement was really getting at something that more or less fits under CCNA. Because again, when you look at the backup, it's engineering coupled with construction that's in that GSA backup documentation. So no further comment.
Jenny, this is Sean Eads. Can I ask the Chair Lasikia a question? What is the risk posed to JEA if we would approve this with the concerns that you have brought up?
So if you approve it and proceed to enter into a contract, the risk is the whole contract is voided because you haven't followed the statutory mandates, CCNA. So that's your risk.
Daryl has his hand up.
Daryl, go ahead.
Yeah, Daryl Callahan, through the chair to Lasikia. So we could approve, to Sean's point, we could approve and simultaneously deal with your concerns, further review, and then pull it if we need to. Our procurement would pull it at that point and not move forward with it. Would that be acceptable? Move it today?
Right. So I
the due diligence.
Through the chair, I mean, to talk over you, Lasikia Hodges. I think you could certainly approve with the contingency, right? I think you can approve the award with contingency, following OGC's review of the award in further detail to make sure it's in compliance with CCNA. I definitely think you can do that.
Jenny, John McCarthy also.
Go ahead, John.
I was just getting ready to make a move for our motion.
Go ahead, John.
I would just a motion to approve this contingent upon OGC's review.
Can I get a second from anyone?
Daryl Callahan, I second.
Great. I'll go through the rest of the committee members individually. Sean Eads, do you approve this motion for item number 4?
I approve.
Okay. Daryl Calhoun.
Oh, I had to finally unmute. Approved.
Thank you. Karen Anders.
I approve.
Joe Arfano.
Approved, subject to the contingency.
And John McCarthy.
Approved.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let's go on to award number 6. This was an invitation to negotiate. The primary purpose Of these services are to oversee all fleet tire maintenance in order to increase productivity and asset utilization to help JEA's business run as smoothly as possible for both the energy and water departments. The services that will be performed under this scope will be at a minimum preventive maintenance, corrective maintenance, yard checks, and road calls in order to support JEA's operations. Davis Tire Center, Inc. is the recommended awardee in the amount of $1,101,837.50. This is a 3-year award with no optional renewals. And we received 3 bids going through the competitive process. So the evaluation criteria for this bid was the lowest cost provider. And the pricing structure is based off the services that were provided by the vendor, but then also a percentage discount beyond what is found for the physical tires, either looking at the agreements of any of these, FSA, GSA, and Sourcewell, which all have the same pricing. And this vendor actually is giving us a 1% discount off of those agreements. So the tires, when we need to buy tires to purchase for the replacements, we will get a 1% discount off of those list prices. I'll just note this is a new vendor for JEA, and they are a locally owned and operated, and will be servicing JEA from road call, truck servicing, yard visits, along with 2 different physical locations. The numerous shop locations was not a requirement, as it would have been too restrictive for the other bidders. But this does provide additional, operational efficiencies over the current service provider, which only has a single shop location. I'll just note we are getting better pricing for the services. So we are seeing a cost difference of about a little over $43,000 for the 3-year term. And the award amount is just an estimate, a not to exceed amount that was calculated by using the existing fleet tire makeup and the corresponding projected maintenance, both preventative and corrective, that will occur over the next 3 years. And we looked at the historical numbers over the last 3 years of the current contract to help determine our estimates. So just a note, the numbers can fluctuate depending on the actual usage of the vehicle, future fleet purchases and retirements, the severity and the frequency of major repairs, along with fleet plans and parts of JEA growth. I'm going to open it up to the committee for comment.
Karen Anders.
Yeah, does this have either a requirement, or do we have some assurance that this vendor actually will have the tires or enough tires in inventory?
Do we have a hand raised from the business, Sean?
Bailey, yeah, Bailey. No.
Go ahead, Bailey.
It's part of the min qualifications that they have to supply the tires, and they do have a lot of inventory. We actually sent some of our team members out to their facility to do a facility check, check their inventory, check the things, their capabilities, since they were a new vendor. So we were satisfied with their ability to meet that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And that was Bailey Brunel for the record. Go ahead, Sean.
We also have John McCarthy.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. Since this is a locally owned company, if we could just, and assuming they're not currently a JSIB, if we can just reach out to them and see if they do qualify and help them get qualified if they do. That's just a request.
All right, thanks, John. I know Rita is on the call, or was on the call, and if you'll make a note of that, Rita, and just follow up outside with myself and John, that'd be great.
Lastly, Jenny, I don't know if Lasikia still has a question on this one. I saw her hand.
I do not. I don't have a question. I didn't have my hand raised. Thanks.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve award number 6?
Karen Anderson moved.
Daryl Calhoun, second.
Great. I'll go through the entire committee and ask them for approval. Sean Eads,
I approve.
Daryl Calhoun,
Hey, that's Daryl, sorry, approved.
Karen Anders,
I approve.
Joe Arfano,
Approved.
and John McCarthy.
Approved.
Thank you. Great. All right, award item number 7. This is an invitation to negotiate JEA FY21 aerial long lead time procurement acquisitions. So these have quite a long lead time, purchasing now for receipt in 2021. This is for 4 aerial equipment vehicles, which have been approved by the budget, in the budget, the fleet budget, and it is for, there's 3 units at Energy for replacement units, and then there's 1 Energy expansion unit. We've got 2 recommended awardees. Ring Power Corporation is one, and the award amount is $873,999. We have Alltech Industries, Inc., and their award amount is $367,235. We've set this up as 1 year with an option to renew these vehicles if JEA has needs that exist. The agreement will be structured as, again, I said, 1 year with JEA's discretion, 1 year option with pricing to increase only by the vehicle's MSRP. However, if the MSRP increase exceeds the PPI by industry, automobile, light truck, and utility vehicle manufacturing index, JEA will elect to rebid. We did just receive the 2 responses, and the way the solicitation was written up was that we would intend to award the lowest respondent for each of the 2 vehicle groupings. So we've got 2 different groupings here of the aerial duty vehicle classes, and the suppliers were encouraged to bid multiple groupings for efficiency purposes. And so you'll see here when you're looking at the bidders and what they submitted, the total amount was for both groupings. And there is backup that we can go to in a moment to show the different pricing per grouping. There was some increase to the different capabilities that we asked for and this purchase in particular. The lifting capacity of the new unit will be between 1,500 pounds and 1,600 pounds, providing a range close to 5,000 pounds higher than our previously purchased units. And the unit has a longer length boom attachment of 50 feet instead of 47 feet. So I'll note Ring Power is our lowest price for grouping number 1, and Alltech was the lowest price for grouping number 2. If you want to go to the backup, Lynn, there's a table that shows the price comparison of the individual units. Scroll down. Right there. So for grouping 1, you'll see that Ring Power's unit price was approximately $291,000. Alltex was approximately $294,000. So Ring Power is the lowest price for that grouping, and we are buying 3 units, which brings it up to the award total of approximately $873,000. And then group 2, we're only buying 1 unit. And you can see Alltech pricing is approximately $367,000 per unit. Ring Power's submittal was $382,000 per unit approximately. So that's how the award totals were determined. I'm going to open it up to the committee for comment.
We have no comments at this time.
Okay, great. Can I get a motion to approve award item number 7?
Which is Sean Eads. I move to approve this item.
Daryl Calhoun, second.
Okay, I've got Sean Eads as a motion to approve and Daryl as a second. I'll ask the entire committee for individual votes to approve. Sean Eads?
I approve.
Karen Anders?
I approve.
Daryl Calhoun?
Approve.
Joe Orfano?
Approve.
And John McCarthy?
Approved.
Thank you. All right, award item number 8. This is an invitation to negotiate our trailer-mounted 4-drum P-line puller. That is a mouthful. There are 2 units that we are purchasing, and they are approved in the budget, the fleet budget, within the vehicle class category 420. And this is JEA's FY20 requirements for expansion and planned and budget replacement, both for energy, so 1 expansion and 1 replacement. Ring Power is the recommended awardee in the amount of $320,030. This is set up exactly the same as the last award. So we've got the 1 year for the first purchase, and if we have any needs between now and next year, we've got a renewal option based off of the exact same PPI and MSRP increase. We received 2 bids. And I'll just make a note that there's no direct comparison to the existing fleet, as the newer units have twice the pulling capacity of the current model. So they are equipped to have a 2,000-pound max pull versus the old machine of 1,000. And there were no BAFO savings here, as neither supplier adjusted pricing during the process. But with the additional pulling capacity, we are seeing a cost increase from the last time we purchased these of about $168,000. And that's total over both units. I'm going to open it up to the committee for comment.
No comments, Jenny.
Great.
Sorry,
I'll ask
Karen,
for-
I do have one.
Oh, Karen.
Okay.
I assume the extra weight or the pulling capability is because we have a need for that. My group asked for that. Is that correct?
I'm sure Bailey will raise her hand here in a second if you want to jump in, Bailey.
How about it, Bailey?
Yeah, we meet with all the users and get their requirements for what they need to do their job before we spec out stuff. So we wouldn't have just like added additional capacity without their need for it.
Karen, do you need additional information on that?
No, well, I'm sure we asked, and this is just one unit, right?
It's 2 units, 1 replacement and 1 expansion.
Okay. It's a substantial cost more. I just wanted to make sure that it was a need and not something arbitrary, which I should have asked my group. So, but I'll assume that if Bailey reached out and this is what standards gave her, that it was vetted. And I'll follow up afterwards as well.
This is Bailey
Okay.
again. We will, yeah, it's that, and also just in new technology and this type of work too also contributes to the increase. It's not solely the capacity. That's a large portion, but that changes it.
Bailey, this is Thurman, if I may. They will actually be able to pull short runs of primary with these machines. So they won't have to transition to the 4,000-pound pullers. So it gives them more versatility and it should increase the productivity as well.
Okay, that helps. Thank you.
Great. Any other comments, Sean?
I just want to state for the record that was Thurman McLaughlin, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
No other comments.
Can I get a motion to approve award item number 8?
Joe Arpaio, motion to approve.
Daryl Calhoun, second. You give it to John this time.
I only heard Daryl, so I'm going to give it to Daryl. Sorry, John, you got to speak up faster. All right, so we got a motion to approve award number 8 with Joe Arpaio making the motion, Daryl seconding the motion. I'll go to the whole awards committee for approval individually. Shawnee?
I approve.
Daryl Calhoun?
Approved.
Karen Anders?
I approve.
Joe Arpaio?
Approved.
And John McCarthy?
Approved.
Thank you. All right, you guys are being very patient. We have 2 more awards. Award number 9 is a change order. This is our Southwest Arlington East Service Area Infiltration and Inflow Study and Remediation Plan. Wright Pierce is the original awardee, and this change order amount is $258,865.84. The award request is for a change order to the engineering study contract of Wright Pierce for the Southwest Arlington East Service Area, as I said, infiltration and inflow study remediation plan. And this increase for the additional study of the Southwest Service Area. An additional, and it should be noted, an additional change order will be required under the original contract for the engineering services to design the solution for the issues discovered under this study. So you guys will see another change order is being projected here. The services will provide additional CCTV inspections for approximately 15,000 feet of gravity sewer line and inspections of 221 manholes within the Southwest Service Area. And this, I'll just make a note, this was included in the original solicitation that went out. The service area was included. The additional inspections are necessary due to an increase of I&I, which is the infiltration and inflow in the Southwest Service Area. The original contract hourly rates that were negotiated are being used for this change order. And I'll open it up to the committee for comment.
There is none.
Great. Can I get a motion to approve award number 9?
Darrell Callahan, so moved.
This is Sean, I second.
Were you guys all trying to wait for John, giving him an opportunity?
No chance.
John, you missed your opportunity again. There's only one more award, so. All right, so I've got Darrell and I've got Sean as a second. And I'll open it up to the committee for approval individually. Sean Eads.
I approve.
Karen Anders.
I approve.
Darrell Calhoun.
Approved.
Joe Arfano.
Approved.
And John McCarthy.
Approved.
Thank you. All right, our last award, award number 11. It is an invitation to negotiate. This is for a new F5 equipment and a 5-year support and maintenance. This is an IT infrastructure replace and refresh award. JEA is becoming operationally close to the maximum available compute and memory availability within the current F5 environment. The F5 environment uses a shared clustered hardware model in which adding new blades to the chassis, it adds the resources to the overall capacity of the system. JEA requests to purchase an additional blade for each of the chassis and the environment to ensure that we maintain full redundancy and computing memory availability across the JEA network. CDW Government LLC is the recommended awardee. And the award amount is $395,790.92. So this is a one-time purchase of the equipment and, as mentioned, a 5-year support maintenance. So the first year is included in the equipment price, and then the additional maintenance and support is about $16,000 per year. And it's all included in the award amount to cover all 5 years and the equipment. So I'll open it up to the committee for comment.
There is none.
Great. Can I get a motion to approve award number 11?
This is John McCarthy. I make a motion to approve award item 11.
Yes.
Joe Arfano, second.
Great. Our 2 J's. I appreciate you guys. All right, I'm going to open it up to the committee for approval for award item number 11. Sean Eads.
Approve.
Darrell Calhoun.
Approved. Approved.
Karen Anders.
I approve.
Joe Arfano.
Approved.
And John McCarthy.
Approved.
Okay. I'm not sure we've ever had an awards committee that has gone an hour and 20 minutes, but I appreciate everybody's patience, time, effort. We have approved the agenda, all items individually. We have deferred the meeting minutes as suggested in the motion for the meeting minutes individually. We will bring those back for approval once they are amended for you guys to review. Is there any other business to come before the awards committee or any comments from OGC at this time? All right, seeing none, we are adjourned. Do we have a comment? Okay. All right, thanks guys. Have a great Thursday.
Thank you.